When we talk about Allah delaying our dua, we have to first understand that delay is not denial. We live in a world that moves quickly, where everything is instant. We tap, we scroll, we click, and the result appears. And slowly, without realizing it, we begin to expect the same from Allah. We begin to feel that if we raise our hands and pour our hearts out, the response should come immediately, exactly as we imagined it. But the Lord of the worlds is not bound by our clocks, our impatience, or our limited vision. His timing is not just better, it is perfect. And part of Iman is trusting that perfection even when the heart trembles with longing. Sometimes, Allah delays your dua because the ingredients of what you asked for are not yet ready. Just like a seed planted in the soil needs months of unseen work before it becomes a tree, your dua goes through a process that unfolds in the unseen. You might be asking for success, but that success may require a set of experiences you haven't lived yet. You might be asking for a spouse, but perhaps Allah is still shaping that person into the right partner for you, or perhaps shaping you into the right partner for them. You might be asking for a certain opportunity, but the doors ahead need to be aligned in ways you cannot yet see. When the timing is off, even a blessing can become a burden. Allah delays not to deprive you, but to prepare you. And sometimes, He delays because accepting your dua too soon would actually harm you. You may think you're ready, you may feel ready, but Allah knows the depths of your heart, the fragility of your faith, and the trajectory of your life in ways you can't imagine. You're looking at the moment, He's looking at the entire journey. What you think is the shortest path may be the most destructive one. What you think is the perfect plan may collapse under the weight of reality. You see a small piece of the puzzle, and you form assumptions. Allah sees every piece, every connection, every consequence. His delay is His protection. Other times, Allah delays your dua because He wants something greater from you than the thing you are asking for. Perhaps He wants the softness in your heart that only comes when you stand in the middle of the night. Perhaps He wants to hear your voice in sujud over and over again, not because He needs your worship. Allah is independent of all creation, but because you need that connection. You need to be anchored. You need that rope of hope to pull you through the storms of life. A dua that is answered instantly ends quickly, but a dua that takes months, maybe years, creates a relationship with Allah that becomes unshakable. There are situations where Allah delays because the transformation you need is not yet complete. Think about how you yourself changed during those days of making dua. In the beginning, you ask with a certain tone, "Ya Allah, give me this." But as the days pass, as the months stretch on, your dua starts evolving. Slowly, your voice becomes more humble. You find yourself saying, "Ya Allah, give me what is best for my dunya and my akhirah." You shift from insisting to surrendering. From demanding to trusting, the delay purifies the request itself. What you asked for at the beginning may not be what you ask for midway, and it may not be what you ask for at the end. Allah knows that journey. Allah never delays without purpose. Sometimes the delay is Allah calibrating your heart. We don't like to admit it, but our hearts can become attached to the wrong things. We may think we are asking for something solely for good, but deep inside, there may be arrogance or entitlement, or an unhealthy dependency on the outcome. We may want the thing more than we want Allah, and Allah, in His mercy, not His punishment, will delay the dua until the heart returns to the right place. Until the heart says, "Whatever you give me, Ya Allah, I accept. Whatever you withhold, I trust." And when the heart reaches that stage, the dua is no longer a test. It becomes a gift. Look back at your own life. How many times did you ask for something desperately, only to realize years later that if Allah had given it to you then, it would have destroyed you? How many things you once cried for now look insignificant, How many things that felt like rejections turned out to be redirections. He becomes an expert at emotional ambiguity. Allah's delay is often the clearest sign of his wisdom, but you only recognize it when you look backward. And even if you don't see the wisdom yet, even if the delay feels heavy, even if it stretches longer than you imagined, understand this: Allah is not ignoring you. Allah is not turning away from you. Allah is not testing you to break you. The one who hears the footsteps of the ant on a stone in the darkness of the night hears your dua the moment it forms in your heart. The moment your lips whisper it, the moment your eyes shed a tear, it has already reached the heavens. The acceptance is written, the timing is what unfolds. A delay does not mean your dua is suspended in the air. It means Allah has already accepted it, but its form, its timing, or its outcome will come at the moment that brings the most benefit to your dunya and your akhirah. That is the promise of a Lord who is more merciful to you than you are to yourself. So when you raise your hands and you feel the delay, don't let Shaitan whisper that nothing is happening. Something is always happening around you, within you, for you. You're not being left behind. You're being carried toward the moment Allah has chosen for you. And when that moment arrives, you will realize that the delay was never a barrier, it was the path. And the heart that understands that is the heart that finds peace, even before the dua is answered. When you make dua, nothing seems to move, nothing seems to change, and the world around you looks exactly the same as it did yesterday. It is very easy to feel like your words have vanished into the air. It is easy to feel like perhaps your dua has not been heard, or maybe it was too small, or too weak, or too unworthy. And yet, Allah reminds us again and again that every dua you make is already in motion long before you see any results. The problem is not that your dua is inactive. The problem is that you are only looking at the surface of your life. You are only looking at what is visible, what is tangible, what is measurable. But the world of the unseen is far more vast, far more intricate, and far more active than anything your eyes can register. When you make dua, things start shifting in ways you cannot perceive. You may ask Allah for guidance, and all of a sudden, a conversation you overhear, or an event you stumble into, or a thought that crosses your mind begins nudging you in the direction you need to go. Nothing dramatic, nothing loud, but tiny movements orchestrated by Allah, each one redirecting your path. You may ask for ease, and behind the scenes, Allah may be removing obstacles that you never even knew were coming your way. You might ask for protection, and Allah could be diverting calamities that you will never learn about in this life. He shields you from what never touches you, so you never realize you were just saved. And sometimes Allah is preparing your heart before granting what you asked for. We don't recognize how much internal change is needed before external change is granted. You may be asking for a certain blessing, but your heart is not ready to carry it. It might be that you lack the humility, or the gratitude, or the wisdom to handle it without harming yourself. Allah doesn't deprive you. He trains you, He builds you, He strengthens your reliance on Him. Dua is not only a request, it is a spiritual journey, and journeys require time. There are duas you make today that Allah begins answering by placing you in situations you would never choose for yourself. You may ask for patience, and suddenly you are tested. You may ask for strength, and suddenly you are challenged. You may ask for clarity, and suddenly things begin to fall apart so that they can fall into place. You may ask for a loving marriage, and Allah uses this time to correct your character, to refine your communication, to soften your heart. The answer begins immediately, but it unfolds gradually. It unfolds through experiences that shape you into a person capable of receiving and appreciating the blessing. And sometimes the dua is not answered in the way you imagined because Allah is giving you something far greater in the unseen. You may ask for a job, but Allah is giving you rizq from a direction you never thought of. You may ask for healing from a certain pain, but Allah is lifting sins from your record, raising your rank, purifying your heart. You may ask for a particular outcome, and Allah, because He knows the future, answers your dua by protecting you from that very outcome. Just because you don't see what's happening doesn't mean nothing is happening. Just because the story looks still doesn't mean the author has stopped writing. Think about a seed beneath the soil. For days, maybe weeks, there is no sign of life. You water it, you wait, you check the soil, and still nothing. But under the surface, roots are forming, strength is building, foundations are developing. If you judge only by what your eyes see, you will think the seed is dead. But if you trust the process, you understand that the most important growth is the growth that happens where no one is watching. Your dua works the same way. The roots grow before the branches appear. What Allah builds in private will eventually bloom in public. Your dua is also working in ways related to your akhira, not just your dunya. Many times, Allah accepts your dua immediately, but He stores its reward because He wants to honor you on the day when everyone will be desperate for even a single good deed. Imagine standing on the day of judgment and mountains of reward are placed before you, and you ask, where did this come from? And you are told, this is from the duas you thought were unanswered. In reality, they were working for you in the realm that matters most. And then there are moments when Allah delays your dua not because your dua is weak, but because your voice in dua is beloved to Him. Your whisper, your sincerity, your vulnerability, these are precious. Allah allows the delay so that your heart continues turning back to Him. He allows the delay so you don't stop asking, so you don't forget who the true giver is. If He gave immediately, the connection might end. But when you keep asking, when you keep returning, your relationship with Allah deepens. Your dua was working not only on the world around you, it was working on you. We forget that dua is not magic, it is conversation. It is a declaration of dependence. And when you stand before Allah again and again, you are building a bond that shapes your entire spiritual identity. That bond becomes your anchor. Even if the thing you're asking for hasn't shown up yet, you walk away from dua calmer, more grounded, more certain that Allah is with you. That in itself is an answer. That in itself is a mercy. And let me tell you something. The feeling that your dua is doing nothing is itself a test. Shaitan wants to make you think your words are wasted. He wants to make you believe that Allah is distant, uninterested, uninvolved. But the believer knows better. The believer knows that the moment they raise their hands, something in the heavens shifts. Something in the universe begins to align. Something in destiny starts moving. You may not see it now, but you will see it at the moment Allah has written. And when that moment comes, you will look back and realize that every second of waiting was a part of the answer itself. Your dua is working even when you see nothing. Sometimes when Allah delays your dua, it isn't about the thing you're asking for. It's about the heart that is asking for it. We often imagine that dua is simply a request we make and a response we wait for. But in reality, dua is also a mirror. It reveals you to yourself. It exposes what you love, what you fear, what you depend on, and what you're attached to. And sometimes Allah delays the answer because He wants to show you something within your own heart before He grants what you seek. You may think you are asking purely for Allah's sake, but the delay begins uncovering layers inside you that you didn't even know existed. When the dua is not answered immediately, does your heart remain steady, or does it become restless? Does your trust deepen, or does it collapse? Does your hope stay anchored in Allah, or does it shift to people, to timing, to probabilities? The delay reveals the truth. It shows you what your heart clings to most. There are moments when the delay forces you to confront an attachment you didn't realize was controlling you. Maybe you believed that you needed this thing to be happy. Maybe you felt like your life could not move forward without it. Maybe you placed your sense of worth, your sense of purpose, your very identity in something other than Allah. So Allah delays not to punish you, but to gently detach your heart from what could harm it. Allah wants your heart to rely on Him, not on the outcome. He wants you to find stability in Him, not in the shifting world around you. And the only way to teach that lesson is through delay. Think about the person who asks for marriage. Their dua is sincere, their desire is good, yet the delay comes. And over time, the heart begins to panic. Why is it taking so long? What if it never happens? What if I am not chosen? Slowly, the delay reveals that the heart is not just seeking companionship. It might be seeking validation, seeking escape, seeking security in something fragile. And Allah, in His mercy, says not yet, because if He gave immediately, that hidden dependency would grow. So He delays until the heart learns to say, Ya Allah, You are enough for me even before You give me what I desire. Or think about the person who begs Allah for success in their career or their studies. They work hard, they pray, they ask, and yet nothing seems to open. Days turn into months, months into years, and along that journey, the heart begins to reveal itself. Did you want success so you could be grateful, so you could serve others? Or did you want it because your heart was hungry for status, recognition, applause? The delay forces you to reflect. It forces you to ask, why do I truly want this? And sometimes the answer is uncomfortable, but it is transformative. Allah delays because He wants your heart to be aligned with Him, not distracted by the blessing. If the blessing comes at the wrong time, it can ruin you. But if your heart is calibrated, if it is stable, sincere, humble, then the same blessing becomes a source of elevation. Allah is not just giving you something. He is shaping you into someone who can handle that gift without being destroyed by it. There is also a deeper dimension to this. Sometimes the delay reveals whether your dua is a spiritual commitment or merely a transaction. When Allah gives quickly, everyone feels grateful, everyone feels faithful, but when Allah waits, that is when the sincerity becomes clear. Does your dua continue or does it fade? Do you still turn to Allah with devotion, or do you turn away in disappointment? The delay becomes a test of love. Anyone can love Allah when life is smooth. But the lover of Allah is the one whose heart stays soft even when the dua takes time. The delay teaches you if your relationship with Allah is built on convenience or conviction. It shows you whether you worship Allah for who He is or for what He gives. And understand something. A heart that is attached too deeply to anything in this world becomes fragile. It becomes breakable. The deeper the attachment, the deeper the fear of losing it. That is why Allah wants your strongest attachment to be with Him, because He never breaks the heart that turns to Him. He never disappoints the one who relies upon Him. He never leaves the one who seeks Him. The delay is not to harden your heart, it is to free it from everything that weighs it down. When a person keeps asking and keeps waiting, the heart naturally goes through phases. At first there is eagerness, then frustration, then patience, then surrender, and finally clarity. In that clarity, the believer realizes something profound. What I'm asking for is not my Lord. My Lord is the one I am asking. When the heart reaches that station, when it stops viewing the dua as the only goal and starts seeing Allah as the ultimate destination, something shifts. The heart softens, the anxiety loosens its grip. The desperation dissolves, and suddenly the delay is no longer painful, it becomes meaningful. And when that transformation happens, that is often when the dua arrives. Not because Allah finally decided to give it, but because you finally became ready to receive it. You grew into the person who could carry the blessing with gratitude instead of arrogance, with humility instead of entitlement, with wisdom instead of heedlessness. The delay wasn't blocking your dua, it was building you. There is a reason we are told that Allah does not wrong His servants. Every delay has purpose, every pause has meaning, every waiting period is an act of divine care. The heart that trusts this truth will find peace even in uncertainty. And the heart that surrenders to Allah will never be left empty-handed, neither in this life nor in the next. Sometimes Allah delays your dua to reveal who you are, and to show you who He wants you to become. Sometimes the greatest misunderstanding we have about dua is assuming that Allah is giving us exactly what we asked for, or He is not giving at all. But Allah is Al-Karim, the one whose generosity has no ceiling, no limits, no restrictions. When He delays your dua, it is often because what you are asking for is smaller than what He intends to give you. We think in terms of immediate relief, immediate comfort, immediate solutions. Allah thinks in terms of your entire destiny. Your dunya, your akhirah, your growth, your protection, your long-term benefit. And because His knowledge embraces all things, His response to your dua often surpasses your imagination, even when you cannot see it yet. You may raise your hands and ask Allah for something very specific. You have a picture in your mind, a scenario that feels perfect to you. But Allah delays not because He wants to deprive you, but because He wants to broaden the horizon of what you're asking for. He wants to upgrade the dua you made, elevate its outcome, expand its benefit. Many times you ask for a drop while Allah is preparing an ocean. You ask for one door to open while Allah is building an entire pathway. You ask for relief in one moment, and Allah is preparing a lifetime of blessing that you could never have scripted for yourself. Think about the moments in your life when you made dua for something that didn't happen, not because Allah rejected it, but because Allah gave you something far better later on. At the time, you didn't understand. You may have cried, you may have begged, you may have felt confused. But years passed, and when you look back, you realize, if Allah had granted what you asked for in that moment, it would have held you back, restricted you, or even harmed you. The delay was not withholding. The delay was divine generosity unfolding in slow, deliberate, purposeful ways. Sometimes the more that Allah wants to give you has nothing to do with dunya outcomes at all. Sometimes what you're asking for is limited to this world, but Allah is preparing reward for you in the next world, reward so vast, so magnificent, so everlasting that if you saw it, you would fall into sajda out of gratitude for every dua that was delayed. We measure things in minutes and hours. Allah measures in eternity. Every dua you make is either answered as you asked, answered with something better, or stored for you in the akhirah, where it will confront you as a mountain of reward. So when Allah delays, what if it's because He wants that reward to reach its fullness? What if He wants to elevate your rank in the next world beyond anything you could earn through your own deeds? And yet, it is not only the reward that is greater. The person you become through the delay is greater as well. Sometimes the more that Allah gives is not a thing, but a transformation. You asked for ease, but Allah gave you resilience. You asked for a way out, but Allah gave you wisdom. You asked for a blessing in your hands, but Allah gave you strength in your heart. The delay forces you to grow into someone who can handle what you're asking for with maturity, perspective, and gratitude. The person you become by the time the dua is answered is often the greatest gift of all. There are also times when Allah delays because the blessing you are asking for needs to be protected from the wrong circumstances. Allah may be moving people out of your life before bringing a blessing into it. He may be shifting situations, adjusting timelines, redirecting paths so that when your dua arrives, it arrives in the safest, healthiest, most favorable environment. You might think nothing is happening, while in reality Allah is rearranging the entire story so that the ending is far better than the beginning. And then there are times when Allah delays not because your dua is small, but because His generosity is too great to be rushed. Allah's gifts are perfectly timed. They arrive at the moment when they will have the greatest impact on your heart. If they come too early, you might not appreciate them. If they come too late, your heart may already be attached elsewhere. Allah gives when the giving will elevate you, not distract you. When the blessing becomes a path toward Him, not away from Him. You might ask, why wasn't I given this earlier? Why didn't Allah open this door years ago? But what if the answer is that the blessing would have become a fitna for you had it come at that time? What if it would have led you to arrogance, to heedlessness, to forgetting Allah? What if the job you wanted so badly, the marriage you prayed for, the opportunity you sought, what if getting them earlier would have caused your heart to drift? Allah held it back because He wanted the blessing to build you, not break you. He wanted it to be a mercy, not a burden. And when it finally arrives, when Allah finally gives, you realize something profound. The delay was never empty. It was full of mercy, full of protection, full of preparation, full of hidden gifts. The delay was Allah giving you more. More time, more growth, more reward, more alignment, more wisdom, more closeness to Him. And then, on top of all that, He gives you the thing you asked for, sometimes in a form so much better than what you imagined that you are left speechless at His generosity. The truth is, nothing you ask for is ever lost, no dua goes unheard, no dua is ignored, but Allah, in His infinite wisdom, chooses the moment that will bring you the greatest good. And because He is more merciful to you than you are to yourself, He will always give in a way that exceeds your expectations. Even if it requires patience, even if it requires waiting, even if it requires trusting what you cannot see. Allah delays your dua because He wants to give you more than what you asked for.